Hello, hello, yes it is I, the conspicuous me. And today we want to go into one of the basics of Elder Scrolls Online, which is skills and skill points. So we're going to go into skill points, where you get them from, and then how you spend them, and the entire structure, and the positives and the negatives as well. So we're going to get cracking with our best friend here, Mr. Skilly McSkillface, a Nord Warden of some renown, as I'm sure you will agree. And so we join Skilly in beautiful Skyrim on a lovely day, if a little overcast. And he has 3 skill points to start him off on his epic journey. Now, at the moment, he doesn't have an awful lot of options when it comes to different skill lines, but as you will see, that will change. So, we'll start with the class abilities. Now, each class has 3 different skill tiers. They are usually a DPS, then a healing, then a tank. And in this case, the Animal Companions is your DPS one. You'll see from here, Animal Companions is starting right at the very beginning. At 1, you will improve the skill by earning XP, so just basically run around with an Animal Companion skill slotted, and you will do very nicely, thank you very much. These are all the abilities that are available, or not available, as it would turn out, if you are just starting out in the game. Now, as you can see, these will unlock as you progress in the Animal Companions line. At the moment, all we have is Dive, but it is fortunate that Dive is a very good skill, and it can go on our skill bar down here. Green Balance is the healing for the Wardens. Now, we don't really want to do the healing, but there isn't an awful lot to spend our skill points on at the moment, so we'll get Fungal Growth, which is the first start there, and we'll pick up Frost Cloak as well, because that's a nice little bit of protection for us. Now, once you reach level 15, you will get a second back bar, so you're able to put another 5 skills and another ultimate on it. But for now, we've got all of these slotted in, so they will all be gaining experience themselves. Now, as you can see, we're starting at Frostcloak 1 here, for example. Now, as we're earning XP, we will go up to Frostcloak 2, 3, and then 4, and then it will be able to be morphed. Now, I'll show you how the morphs work once we get there, but first of all, let's shoot some elephants. So after a brief stint of massacring the local wildlife and thinning out some of the clan people in the area, our boy Skilly is definitely coming along nicely. Level 5, as you can see, and starting to level up his 3 main skill lines here. See, they're all now 6. And you'll also notice that Frostcloak is now maxed out at 4 and can now be morphed. What is a morph, you say? Well, you click on the button and you can spend another skill point making this slightly better. Now, you have a choice in this case between Expansive Frostcloak, which would increase the radius and reduce the cost, or you have Ice Fortress, which is a more of a personal one, which will give you minor protection, which will reduce your damage taken by 5% while it's useful. So, it's a choice. You don't have to take one of them, but it's now an option that you can take, and should you take, say for instance, Ice Fortress, which you probably would if you're questing, that now goes to Ice Fortress 1, and you can level it up all the way to 4. There are no further morphs after that, that's as high as it goes. But that's basically how the whole skills and morphing works properly in ESO. Now, moving on, you can also see that we've also unlocked an additional ability now, because at 6 Winter's Embrace, we can now access Impaling Shards if we so wish. So we can spend skill points in there. Fungal Growth is now able to be morphed as well, because it's all been on the bar, it's all been gaining experience, it's all been going rather nicely, thank you very much. And Animal Companions I can now improve on Dive, if I so wish. But Scorch is also up, which is a wonderful Warden ability. If you do roll a Warden, you'll probably be using that one an awful lot. But there are other skill lines that we've opened along the way. So, obviously, he's now using a bow. Now, you can use every single weapon inside the game. So, you can unlock them by just using them, and then as long as you have them equipped and you're firing around the world, then you will gain experience in those areas. And as you can see, Snipe and Volley have been unlocked if I want to use skill points in those, and they would just drag down to the bar like all of the other abilities. The same thing would apply for any of the other weapon types. We'll go into those later when I go over to the Moo. Armor. Every time you equip 3 pieces of the same type of armor, whether it's light, medium or heavy, you will unlock that skill line, and if you continue to wear at least 1 piece, you will gain experience in it. And as you can see, light armor has been coming along rather nicely, and the armor sets tend to be a whole bunch of passives, some bonuses and penalties according to the type of armor that you're wearing, and then also a special ability as well, which unlocks at, in this case, at rank 22. And at rank 6, we've still got a little ways to go. Also have a look at racials from level 5. The racial abilities that you will have as your character will also be unlocked. Usually, most of the time, you will eventually fill these out completely. As you can see, there's a bit of frost resistance and max health in this one, and then some max stamina as well. When you take damage, getting ultimate, which is the cooldown ability down here, and then some additional physical and spell resistance. So this is quite a tanky race, has usually been favoured for tanky races and for PvP. And so there you go. As you can see, started on a very, very basic journey and now has a couple more things open to them, and that is how the entire skill point and skilling up system works. I'd also like to take this opportunity at this point in time to thank Skilly for letting us follow him around in his swanky new helmet, and showing us the ropes on how the whole skill system works. Cheers, Skilly, you're the best. I must say I was mildly impressed by Skilly. I think he did very, very well there, and I'm rather tempted to change this lithe little Bosmer into a big, brutish Nord with a massive beard, but, you know, that's just another thing I'm going to have to struggle with. You're here because you want to see what a more filled out skill line looks like, and so I am here to help. But before we do that, it's probably best to find out where you can get all of these delicious skill points from, and there is an add-on that can help you called Ulrich's Skill Point Finder. Now, as you can see, there are an awful lot of skill points available in this game, and I have 256 of them at the moment out of a possible 457, so I'm only a tick over halfway. That does seem like a lot of skill points initially, but trust me, you will run out of them very, very quickly. So, as you can see from this general chart, I do recommend you pick up this add-on if you want to keep track of where all the yummy skill points are. Just leveling your character 50 will get you 64 points. You've also got public dungeon group boss events. Now, they give you a skill point each. Clearing out the entire PvP section of Elder Scrolls will give you 50 skill points. You've got storyline quests, which can offer you anything from 3 up to 8, depending on the different zone that you're in. And then you've got the group dungeon quests, which have their own stories as well, which will also award you a skill point. On top of that, every zone of the game also has sky shards, and as we went through earlier, 1 sky shard, 2 sky shard, 3 sky shard equals 1 skill point. So, as you can see, it might well be worth your while early on, at least, just to have a bit of a rummage around. You get lots of XP for exploring the areas, but you can also pick up all of the sky shards that you ever need as well. Now, another add-on that you might be interested in if you're looking for these sky shards is map pins. Now, I will put a link to map pins in the description, but as you can see, all of these bits here will give you the location of all of the sky shards in a particular zone that you haven't collected yet, and will also give you hints as to how you reach them. Some of them are in delves, some of them are in public dungeons, some of them are just lying about in general areas. But yes, the more sky shards you get, the more skill points you get, definitely worth investing in. Moving on to the move skills. So at the moment, as you can see, we have 9 skill points free, but we've pretty much put in everything else that we want so far. So Animal Companions is now maxed out. These are all morphs as well. It is worth pointing out that if you do unskill for some reason, you don't want Screaming Cliff Racer anymore, it will go back to the original. Now you remember the original ability was called Dive, and we got it to 4. It will go back to that 4, so it's not as if you have to start all over again and reskill it. It's just, yeah, once you've got it, and then you can start leveling up these different abilities. Now, as you can see with Green Balance, not so interested really. I mean, I do have a healing option and a healing ultimate if I so wish, but I haven't actually slotted those. You by no means have to slot absolutely everything, and in a perfect world I would actually put more points into this tree. I just don't have the skill points available. Winter's Embrace, which was the tank one, because I do a little bit of off-tanking as well, I'm starting to put points into this again to see if I can actually have both sides, both DPS and tanking. One of the disadvantages of the system is that you never ever really have enough skill points to cover you for multiple roles and specs, so you do tend to have to reset the skill points, and we'll go into that a little bit later. Now, as you can see with weapons, there are a lot more here. You've got two-handed, one-handed and shield, mainly for tanking. Dual wield, which is your dual wielding daggers and axes, maces, and swords. Bow is still there. I use destruction staves for my just general damage dealing, and the one I haven't taken yet is the restoration staff, which is yet another skill line I haven't even unlocked yet, which because I'm a terrible healer, so you know, I am getting around to that though, because apparently it's part of my new PvP spec that I've been looking up, so fine. I have unlocked all 3 of these, but because I'm wearing predominantly 7 pieces of light armor, I've just chosen all of the light armor passives. Obviously, if you're going with heavy armor or medium armor, then you would probably fill out some of these, and you know, some of the abilities on the top of these armors are rather good. I'm not really a fan of Unstoppable, but I have used Evasion before, and I'm currently using what is originally Annulment, which has been morphed here to harness Magicka. World hasn't changed much. Legerdemain is basically your thievery. Excavation and scrying is your antiquities, otherwise your archaeology. You'll need the Greymoor expansion for this, but it will become part of ESO Plus once Blackwood goes live in a few weeks. Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild are, again, expansions upon, you know, just the general thievery and badassery. They are DLCs. You will get them free of charge with ESO Plus. But if you don't have ESO Plus, you're going to have to purchase those DLCs in order to access these skill lines. There are other skill lines that I haven't unlocked yet. I haven't gone into Somerset and started those ones yet. So I'm a long way from completing all of the available skill lines myself. Fighters Guild is stamina-based abilities, Mages Guild is Magicka-based abilities, so you will see that I have started a few around and about, just playing around with things. Undaunted is the dungeons. Now, I use Mystic Orb, which is a lovely ability. And yeah, basically if you're doing trials, you're doing dungeons, even if you're doing delves, you will earn Undaunted rep up to 10. This will unlock the entire tree for you, and you can start trying some of these abilities out. Some of them are very useful for tanks, some of them from DPS, and some for healers, so they've done rather well on that balance. Alliance War is your PvP. I haven't done a lot of PvP yet, but I have made a start on picking up a few things. But as you can see, because I haven't gotten very far, I've still got a few things locked out to me. As a Bosmer, my racials are absolutely nothing to do with Magicka whatsoever, but I don't care because I like playing Bosmer. That's just my thing. But you know, so things like, you know, additional stamina recovery, these things aren't particularly useful for a Magicka user. The physical and spell penetration though is very useful, and that's why it's quite popular in DPS builds. This is the skill point sync. Now you can do every single profession you like in ESO. You are absolutely free to do that. Just bear in mind that it's going to suck up a lot of your skill points. And if you are leveling, I recommend you probably just leave this to one side for now. You're not likely to be able to keep up all of the different professions if you're taking all of them at once as you're leveling anyway. You will level soon enough, and then you can start putting points into these and reaping the benefits. So alchemy, obviously, lots of potions, lots of poisons. There's a lot of money to be made in these if you want to fill these out. Your blacksmithing, clothing, and woodworking are obviously for making staves and shields. Light and medium armor, heavy armor, etc. Enchanting, the ability to make glyphs. Once again, rather profitable endeavor, and definitely will save you a lot of money as well if you max it out and you get the ingredients. Jewelry crafting is probably the longest of the ones to level up, but you know, once again, jewelry will tend to be the most expensive thing that you are going to be worrying about when you're equipping your character, so it's probably best that you have the abilities there. And then of course provisioning. It's important to eat, and I do fill out most of this as well, just so I can make some truly delicious beverages and delicious foodies for my little Bosmerette here. So there you have it. You know, that is an example of what a more filled out skill tree looks like. And to recap, you pick up your skills by spending skill points. You can get skill points from all sorts of different activities in ESO. Spend your skill points on skills, slot them in, get the experience, take them from level 1 to level 4, morph them into something different, something more enhanced, and then pick up another skill. I would recommend that, you know, if you want to do lots of different things in this game, that you're going to be slotting a lot of different abilities. Now, the strengths of the system, obviously, it is wonderfully diverse. I mean, you have so many possibilities for different builds, and I haven't even shown you all of them because I haven't accessed all of them yet. So there is a wonderful amount of build diversity there if you want to go for it, and that means that there are a lot of builds out there as well, for everything from PvP to PvE to running around as an assassin and just killing everybody. The disadvantage, as I mentioned before, is that if you don't have enough skill points, they are somewhat at a premium and you will have to reset your skill points. Now this does cost gold, and the gold amount gets higher the more skill points you have. So at the moment I think it's costing me about 13,000 gold every time I want to respec, and I'm going to want to respec if, for example, I want to tank all of a sudden. I'm going to have to respec all of those skill points into those different areas. So that can get a little bit expensive and frustrating. You will eventually get around it by having enough skill points for everything, but until that day arrives, and it's a long way for me, I don't mind telling you, that is one disadvantage with this system. But, you know, overall, I really love it. All the different things you can do, all the different abilities you can pick up. That is my overview. Oh, wonderful, 200,000 gold. That is my overview for skills and skill points in ESO. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like and a share and a subscribe and a moo. And I will see you again relatively soon. I hope to have a PvP video for you. I did some PvP last week, but we were really... We got crushed, basically, so there wasn't an awful lot of footage that was worth using there, unless, you know, you just want to humiliate yourself. So I'm going to try again, and probably give you a better quality video than that one, because that was a real mess. So, I will see you again soon. Stay calm, be fishy, enjoy your potatoes. I am the conspicuous moo. And is that a skill point behind you?